The only way to get weight down is with a unibody. I don't think so. These guys are relying on, can't think of another word but bullshit artists. Show me the data. And they didn't have it. That's a bad way to do business. This is less expensive, a lot less expensive than we thought. It's got a lot more power than we thought. We were wrong. Power out of that thing is a lot more than what we had anticipated. If you want to try and do any mining in the United States or Canada, forget it. I mean, there's always somebody there with a big sign and a sad face. I think that GM has made some really bad bets. I think that the big loser right now is going to be Volkswagen.
You don't have Volkswagen on your chart.
It's under others.
Oh.
I can't suffer a fool, and I will not get in an argument with an idiot. And so they can yak on all they want, but I did everything from filing to barbering to machine cutting, everything, including heat treat in some cases. Nobody's going to tell me anything about anything. They're absolutely astounding. I've seen everything. Those are works of art. Those are masterful engineering pieces. If you try and retrofit something to fit into an existing product, you're an idiot. You should be executed. That may be harsh, maybe too harsh.
Are you a Tesla fanboy?
I'm an EV fanboy, but the cars are available to anybody in the company. So I will tell you that one guy has a BMW i3, and everybody else has got Teslas, either a Y or a 3, or a Y or a 3 coming. Most of our people are interested in Teslas.
In this video, the engineering expert of experts, Sandy Munro, goes full savage mode, says GM and VW are screwed, admits he was wrong about Tesla, describing Tesla engineering as masterful works of art, jokes that dumb engineers should be executed, literally laughs out loud at BMW's EV efforts, using the term effort fairly loosely, admits that almost everyone working at Munro Associates either owns, has ordered, or wants a Tesla, shares some juicy cost comparisons between Tesla's Model Y and the Ford Mach E, and loads more. These highlights come from a recent 70-minute interview on the Autoline network. As always, there's a link in the description to the full discussion, which I highly recommend you guys and girls check out. In this video, we're just focusing on some of the key highlights as they relate to Tesla. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support.
Ford is doing better than Tesla?
According to this chart here, they're pretty much neck and neck. There's a couple $100 difference, but the Tesla sells for more than the Mach E, so they make more money that way.
So there's a couple of things I'd like to discuss here. First, just keeping in mind that in a moment, Sandy Munro is going to share a little bit more insights about Munro and Associates estimates on the battery pack and electronics costs. So don't take this as gospel yet. But on the surface, credit where it's due here, Ford appear to be producing the Mach E, I think I pronounced that right, made in Mexico. Yep, Mach E, yeah, that's right, for around the same cost as Tesla. There are a few caveats here, however. As Munro points out, Tesla's selling their vehicles significantly higher, therefore much larger profit margins per vehicle, but there's a few other things to discuss as well. For example, Tesla can produce these vehicles, the Model Ys, much faster than Ford can their Mach E. So cost isn't the only variable that matters here. In addition, performance, reliability, and durability also matter. What are the odds that in 20 years' time, the average Tesla Model Y produced in 2022 will probably be faring a little bit better than a Ford Mach E? Now, I don't know for sure, but I have a bit of a hunch. And this isn't to detract from Ford. This is excellent. Good on them. I mean, these are the kind of things, aside from the battery pack and electronics, that you'd kind of hope that a legacy automotive manufacturer could do half decently. This is, after all, their bread and butter. But as we know, from a consumer's point of view, this stuff doesn't matter, not in the fucking slightest. What really matters, software, features, functionality, performance, safety, and so on. This is where Tesla has a huge advantage. Of course, there's no row on this table for software capabilities, over-the-air updatability, 0 to 60 time, powertrain efficiency, full self, none of that stuff's on this table. We do have to acknowledge that there are some areas in which some legacy automotive manufacturers are relatively close to Tesla.
And this is based on what we know, or we used to know, about the battery pack. And that's a 2021. But now we're looking at the battery pack in detail. This is a 4680 battery, and the price overestimated is the right word. This is coming out less expensive than what we thought.
So that's what
it's cheaper
Tesla
to make a
uses?
jelly roll. This is the brand new one that we just took out of the Model Y that we have sitting in the back. Now we took a guess at it for that chart, but that's not the detailed analysis yet. And this is less expensive, a lot less expensive than we thought. It's got a lot more power than we thought. When Tesla releases some of this stuff on energy or battery size and battery, it's nice that they put that out, but we have to do our own testing to make sure that our customers get the absolute truth. We were wrong.
So, putting aside the fact that the Mach E versus Tesla's Model Y in terms of performance, features, functionality, safety, and so on, not even in the same ballpark, the estimates from Munro Associates that it was costing Ford approximately the same amount to produce a Mach E versus Tesla's Model Y turns out to be completely and utterly wrong. Sandy Munro literally admitting out loud, we were wrong. Why? The most expensive thing on that entire list, the battery and electronics, the thing they massively overestimated. It turns out Tesla's 4680 cell, the structural battery pack, the cost associated with that is far less, not a little bit less, far less than Munro and Associates were expecting. Surprise for fucking prize. Tesla's big brain engineers once again doing something incredible and surprising literally everyone. Even Munro and Associates, the folks who already know Tesla's engineering capabilities. Something to consider. And remember, this battery and electronics are the most expensive things. These are the areas to focus on. If you can drive costs down here, this is where you make the biggest reduction in the cost to produce the vehicles, and therefore you can A, either lower the prices and or B, have much higher profit margins. There's only so much innovation that can go into manufacturing a vehicle, but lithium-ion batteries, still very early technology. As these things ramp up, as Tesla continues to develop their 4680 cell, continues to iterate and innovate, cost of these batteries will plummet. At this point in time, battery plus electronics, give or take about $10,000 per Model Y. Anyone want to guess what these costs will look like in 2032?
Power out of that thing is a lot more than what we had anticipated. And the weight is about where we said, but the canisters are thinner than we thought. The canister is thinner, which means that the battery has more of the chemicals and the componentry to put this thing together and generate electricity. This is called a jelly roll. And a jelly roll is a whole lot easier to put together than anything that's rectangular in shape. And there's a lot less things that can go wrong. And if it does go wrong, throw it away, get another. And what do you do with it? Well, it just gets dumped into a big vat and then they recycle it. And all of a sudden now the lithium is cheaper. The nickel is cheaper. You can recycle the cobalt. If you want to try and do any mining in the United States or Canada, forget it. I mean, there's always somebody there with a big sign and a sad face. And we've got to get rid of that.
You know, he's kind of got a point. Don't get me wrong here. I understand why people who have a gaping void of meaning in their lives will get on board with a certain cause. Oh, no more mining, don't kill the environment. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But we do need to think a little bit deeper than that. From a national security point of view, from a supply chain point of view, from a transitioning the world to sustainable energy generation, storage and supply point of view, more mining needs to happen, at least over the next couple of decades, until we get to a circular economy where there's enough materials available for recycling that we don't need to do any more mining. But between now and then, it needs to happen. So, while there's going to be many doofuses holding up signs saying, save the environment, don't mine lithium in the United States, I do hope that these people are the minority, because if we think a little bit more and put our emotions to the side, many of these well-meaning fools, if they have their way, will be achieving the opposite of their apparent stated goal of protecting the environment. We need lithium-ion batteries, lots of them. No mining equals no materials equals no batteries equals no transition to sustainable energy generation, storage and supply.
Anyway, this is what I'm predicting. I think that China is going to wind up with about 26%. I think Tesla is going to still have the majority at 20%. I think that Ford, because they're so far ahead of the pack, they're going to get about 8%. Toyota will wind up with about 8%. I think that GM has made some really bad bets.
Once again, it's fairly hard to argue with this point from Sandy Munro. Of course, he's definitely not talking about the decision to appoint Mary B. Esparra as CEO of General Motors. That was a brilliant decision. She's the best CEO on the planet, unquestionably. And if you don't believe me, you're a misogynist. But seriously though, if you guys don't know the history of GM, check out the film Who Killed the Electric Car? The EV one, I mean, seriously, talk about pissing away a huge opportunity. I'm just kidding. GM led the way, remember? According to everybody's favorite dementia patient, they electrified the whole industry. They did it. They led. And it matters. So forget what Sandy says. He's an idiot. He doesn't know anything about anything. He's completely wrong. GM haven't made any poor decisions whatsoever. After all, the President of the United States said that GM led the way. They electrified the whole industry. How could they possibly have made bad decisions if that's the case? Obviously, Sandy Munro is wrong. The president said something's true. It's true.
I gotta believe the latest GM stuff is miles ahead of the bull.
Well, I haven't seen any of it. They won't give us a car. We've begged and stuff. I think that the big loser right now is going to be Volkswagen.
You don't have Volkswagen on your chart.
It's under others.
Oh.
I changed that chart to others because there was a little skinny strip in there for VW. But when they fired Dietz and put the guy Porsche in charge,
Oliver Bloom.
Yeah, I don't know Oliver Bloom, but I thought Dietz would carry the day. I didn't. If I would have been asked in 2020 or 2019, who's going to win, I would have said it'd been Volkswagen. Volkswagen has everything they need, and instead, all he did was internal arguing at the top of the house, and you don't understand how smart we are, and these kinds of things. So with Dietz gone, I just put it into others and called it a day.
I'm with you, Sandy. I knew it was coming. I called it ahead of time. Hey, Herbert Diess is actually saying what needs to happen. He's acknowledging the truth. He knows what's going on. He's saying it out loud. This is a really positive sign for VW. He's probably going to get fired next minute. He gets fired. Rest in peace, VW. Not surprised to see this happen, but holy f***. This decision will not age well. Truly unbelievable.
That light green area is where there's consumer demand, but there's no product. I think that light green area is going to be filled up by China. You can't stop the flood.
John, you're a big fan of the strategy that General Motors is taking in terms of electrification.
I am.
And so you look at Sandy's chart and you see that General Motors is below Ford and equal with Nissan and Honda, which basically are not doing so well in this space. So what do you make of that?
Well, yeah, I see it differently. I'm very bullish on GM strategy. I believe it's 3 years, certainly, ahead of all the other legacy automakers. I believe by 2026, GM in this country will be second only to Tesla in terms of electric. I believe it's going to be ahead of Ford at that point.
Okay. I guess the president was right. You did it, Mary.
When I look at the manufacturing capacity that's going into place right now, not in 2025 where everybody else is going to be, GM, in my opinion, is so far ahead of all the other legacy automakers, and it's running under the radar right now. Everybody's making fun. They only sold 24 Bolts last year or whatever it is. Just look at the manufacturing capacity for vehicles and for batteries, and it's going to be very apparent by the end of next year and by the end of 2026, I believe, everyone's going to say, how the hell did GM catch up so fast?
You'll notice that I have them on the list. I don't have Volkswagen there.
I share the same concern that you do with Volkswagen, but I'd also throw Toyota in with VW. I think they've dragged their heels on electric.
There's no question about that. They did not predict the market.
Well, on that, I think we can all agree. Round of applause for Toyota. From a partnership with Tesla more than a decade ago to 2022, oh yeah, we're going to pursue 12 different propulsion strategies. We still don't know if people want electric vehicles, so we're going to make lots of other things as well, because we're very smart. P.S. Our president has an MBA from Harvard.
What are we looking at here?
15 years ago, a Canadian company came in and said, we can build a skateboard, okay, frame. I don't care whatever you call it. But let's call it a skateboard, and we can do it in casting. 15 years ago, I could not convince anybody to look at it. Sandy, you really don't understand. The only way to make a car is with unibody. I don't think so. The only way to get weight down is with a unibody. I don't think so. These guys are relying on, can't think of another word, but bullshit artists. But anyways, did they get the data? Show me the data. And they didn't have it. Well, that's what everyone says. That's a bad way to do business. Look at that. 171 pieces of metal highlighted. And look at the different colors because they color coded it. That's high strength, aluminum, boron, mild steel, all welded together in such a fashionable way. And then you look at that one. You look at the other one. Oh, yeah, 2 pieces of metal highlighted, 1,600 less welds. Say, does that look like a casting or what? And when you start looking at how much they've reduced the footprint for the body shop, think about this. Every one of those stampings, every one of them is going to have a slitter and an uncoiler. Every one of them is going to have at least 2 stamping dies. Some of them will have probably 4, and in some of those deep draw things, maybe 5 or 6. Every one of those transfer areas is either going to have a limit or a transfer bar that's in it, but a lot of times you can't use it. So that means I've got to have a robot there. You don't put people in harm's way anymore. Then you've got to have Pillsbury. Then you've got to have people maintaining all those dies. Then you've got to have people that are in the pits cleaning those things out. Then you got to take care of swarf or offal. The guys, I don't want to have too many people calling you up telling me, saying that Sandy's full of shit. On and on and on and on. All these things happen when you've got stampings.
So I think what Sandy Munro is trying to say is the best part is no part and the best process is no process. Kind of feel like some smart engineer running an EV/energy/AI company/also a rocket/colonizing Mars company/a boring company plus a brain interface company. I said that in the past, actually. Same thing. Deleting complexity, parts and processes. Something to consider.
How do I know? Well, after I got done picking tomatoes, I became a tool maker. And guess what? I've had engineers telling me about how they make dies and molds. And I sit there and I nod my head because I can't suffer a fool, and I will not get in an argument with an idiot.
Words of wisdom from Sandy Munro. In fact, any nerds out there remember GameFAQs.com? I used to post on the forums in the late 1990s, early 2000s, my signature for a long period of time. Never argue with an idiot. They'll drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. In all seriousness though, here's a pro tip to literally everybody. Don't argue with idiots. I see so many of you clowns arguing with idiots on Twitter, wasting your precious time. You can't get more time. Your life is made of time. You can't get it back arguing with idiots. Now don't get me wrong. There's absolutely no harm whatsoever in having a debate or a discussion with somebody who isn't an idiot. But if they're an idiot, what are you hoping to do? You're not going to get through to them. They're an idiot. Why waste your time? In fact, I'm going to flip the script. If you are somebody who literally engages in arguments with idiots, you too are an idiot because you're pissing away your life. You're giving away the only non-renewable resource you have, your time, in a futile attempt to change the opinion of somebody who's too dumb to comprehend what you're saying. So, in short, if you argue with an idiot, by default, you too are an idiot. Something to consider. Seriously, guys, take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I ever argue with idiots? And then consider, when you're old, looking back on your life, thinking about the things you regret, the things you wish you did or didn't do, you think any of you are going to go, man, I really wish I wasted more of my life arguing with idiots?
And so they can yak on all they want, but I did everything from filing to barbering to machine cutting, everything, including heat treat in some cases. Nobody's going to tell me anything about anything. And I know how much work there is in this. And I went to Italy about a month or 2 ago, and I went down and I looked at the Hydra factory, and I went in and I saw those molding, those die casting machines. They're absolutely astounding. I've seen everything. Those are works of art. Those are masterful engineering pieces. I'm telling you what, Tesla is showing the way. And by the way, see that big hole where the floor pan used to be? That's where the battery pack and the seats come up inside.
Carpeting and console along with the seat. It's brilliant. Where do you think Tesla might go next?
I think what they're going to have is a cage design similar to what was happening with the BMW i3, the safety cage or the safety module, whatever they want to call it. And I think your roof bows, your A pillar, B pillar, D pillar, those are all going to be casting. I mean, there's no reason why we can't do that, but I'm not sure is whether or not they're going to be aluminum. There's a lot of reasons for using steel for those parts to get around that and whatnot and move toward something that's a different type of material. That's going to take some serious engineering. The material that they use for the castings now are seriously different than normal. Those things fill up in less than a second. They fill up in less than a second.
That's unreal.
And it is unreal. So that material had to go through a lot of testing and validation before they could make that happen. That's what I like about these aluminum castings. They're perfect. And if you've worked in a plant, perfection is really tough. And when you see a bunch of welded parts, I know what it's going to be like. I worked as a tool maker. I worked for the guys that did the welding of these things together. I worked on the stamping of bits and pieces and how hard it is to keep these things in a uniform way. And every time you figured out how it's supposed to be done, what happens? Purchasing finds a cheaper supplier. If you want to know why a body shop can never make any money, it's because a purchasing agent got a high achievement award for finding a new supplier with a new steel that no one's ever seen before. And now you've got to tune every one of those dies into this new material.
Now, this is a massively underrated point. I know this is nerdy engineering stuff, but this is something that I had no idea about because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to automotive engineering. No idea. I've never assembled a car. I've got no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. This was one of those unknown unknowns. Here's me thinking, oh, shit, wow, big casting, less parts, less processes, wow. They can make shit faster and cheaper. That's really amazing. It didn't occur to me that this gigantic cast piece would reduce imperfections and inconsistencies, and how important that was to automotive manufacturing. But as we've just heard in Sandy Munro's epic rant, variations, imperfection, inconsistency is the bane of an automotive manufacturer's existence. So this was a huge bonus, at least from my point of view. It's like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that because I'm an idiot. But it really matters a lot.
Is this supporting of John's argument that you really need a purpose-built platform for an electric vehicle?
I'm a big fan of bespoke. So I applauded Ford with the Mach E, the Lightning. It's kind of like a rolling chassis already. So sticking a battery pack in there, that was a no-brainer. But for anything else that's coming down the pike, if you try and retrofit something to fit into an existing product, you're an idiot. You should be executed. That may be harsh, maybe too harsh.
Yeah,
maybe they could just lose their job.
I don't know. Execution sounds all right in my book.
All right, fine, good. Then we'll leave it with execution. Yeah, there you go.
I love to see Sandy Munro's inner savage coming out. I know it's there. He tempers it. I know it's there, Sandy. It's all right. We won't judge you. Just say what you think. He does have a great point, though. I'm not going to name names, but so many dipshit legacy automotive manufacturers are attempting to use their ICE vehicle platforms and just stuff an electric vehicle inside the thing. It doesn't make sense. You've got to design this from the ground up. As Munro points out, if you think grabbing your existing ICE platform and just tweaking a few things is going to make a great, compelling, highly profitable electric vehicle you can mass produce at scale that customers will line up, wait weeks or months to take delivery of, you are in fact a fucking idiot. And there are many idiotic legacy automotive manufacturers attempting to do exactly that right now.
Are you a Tesla fanboy?
I'm an EV fanboy. When they come in, I look at them with fresh eyes every time. I own a Rivian. The company owns a Model 3, and the company owns a Lightning. But the cars are available to anybody in the company. So I will tell you that one guy has a BMW i3.
Did you guys catch that? Sandy Munro literally couldn't even talk about Tesla's competition without laughing. I mean, this is the biggest tell. Didn't need to say anything. I mean, just watch this again. It's amazing.
One guy has a BMW i3.
You know, for some reason, I feel like, you know what? Flashback to 2019, why I'm all in on Tesla stock. P.S. Tesla was at about a $60 billion market cap when I published this video. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what this means for the future. The competition. What competition?
One guy has a BMW i3.
Well, 3 years later and nothing has changed. Tesla's competition still literally laughable.
And then so who has the other odd electric vehicle? And everybody else has got Teslas. Either a Y or a 3, or a Y or a 3 coming, or actually one person is ordering an X. I got to check and find out how they can afford that on my wages. I mean, I couldn't justify it. But anyway, I mean, you start working on this stuff. We've all worked on ICE vehicles. Doesn't take long for a smart person to figure out which ends up. Most of our people are interested in Teslas.
Now, unfortunately, for the average Wall Street stock analyst, there's no cell in their spreadsheet in which to insert this invaluable data point. And that is the fact that practically everyone working at Munro Associates, whose bread and butter is tearing down automotive products, vehicles, either owns, has ordered, or wants a Tesla. This matters. But you can't stick it in your spreadsheet, therefore it's irrelevant.
Every kid wants them right now. That's what you've got to remember. The guys that are going to make the difference between winning and losing is not the clown who's got $150,000 or whatever it is to buy a Hummer. It's going to be the dad who's listening to his son or daughter saying, I want an EV. And the dad's going, well, you can have an EV, I guess. Doesn't look like there's much money in the old purse.
This is a very important final point from Sandy Munro. In order for EVs to reach the mass market, for the transition to happen, prices need to come down considerably. And they will. It's not a matter of if, but when. My best guess might be a little bit of pain over the next couple of years as volumes ramp up and there's still some supply chain challenges. But from mid-decade and beyond, I personally believe we're going to see the cost of compelling electric vehicles plummet. And when I say plummet, I mean plummet. And my prediction is that by the end of this decade, the cost to manufacture a compelling EV will probably come down somewhere on the order of 50%. Of course, I don't believe the cost to produce EVs will be universal among automotive manufacturers. Instead, I think that today, if there were a company that had already reached larger scale than anyone else in terms of producing EVs, had a ton of the world's best, brightest, biggest brain engineers, had already driven their cost to produce electric vehicles significantly lower than anyone else in the marketplace, had already established themselves as a leader in electric vehicles, who had a culture of resourcefulness, and an incredible leader, I think such a company would be well positioned to achieve volume production of an extremely compelling, extremely affordable electric vehicle, literally years before anyone else. Unfortunately, there is no company like this, otherwise I'd probably be all in on their stock. So I hope you guys and girls have enjoyed the video. As I said, there is a link in the description to the full discussion. It runs in at 1 hour and 10 minutes, all sorts of topics. I just cut some of the Tesla-centric highlights together in this video. I always find it fascinating hearing Sandy Munro's thoughts and insights, and also seeing some of their numbers and predictions around Tesla, automotive manufacturers, and of course, who will actually survive the transition to EVs. And lastly, don't forget you can support the channel by joining Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. You'll gain instant up-to-date access to my Tesla stock price targets out over the next decade, plus access an archive of probably close to 150 exclusive pieces of content and plenty more coming. So I'll see you over on Patreon. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.